This is how I was able to capture or at least predict 7,000 to 8,000 worth of price movement on Bitcoin. This analysis was shared 4 days ago on my Instagram, and my first price projection is about to be hit at 98,000 for around, again, 7 to 8,000 pips worth of price move. Everything is structured, there's nothing new, everything basically comes down to the basics. Starting off the weekly time frame, don't get confused if I switch time frames. They're basically one next to each other just to keep my chart clean. I was looking at the weekly dealing range, which comes from that high to that low right here. For me, it was way oversold for it to keep on pushing lower. With this kind of momentum taking place, you want to keep on looking for shorts, but you want to do so at a level that's worth selling from. And that's where premium and discount theory comes into play. Price was way lower down the leg for me to keep on looking for shorts, and I was primarily focused looking for higher prices, at least in a form of a retracement back into the swing dealing range. However, price ended up going sideways for pretty much around 6 to 8 weeks. However, if you've been trading long enough, and that's one of my personal experience, is if you jump up, in our case jump down a time frame, you will be able to have more information to work with. So on the weekly, it was messy. It was just sideways price action. However, onto the daily, the story is completely different. Because I was looking for longs, and the daily time frame is the smallest time frame where my bias takes place. I don't go any lower. If the daily provides me with a bias, fine. Otherwise, I don't do nothing on that pair. I'll just neglect it for the entire week. What I saw was a break in market structure higher onto the daily time frame, followed with a decent push showing willingness from buyers to push price higher. Again, the same concept that I just talked about onto the weekly, but applied onto the daily in reverse. What happened on the daily time frame, of course, if you see price pushing above and being so higher up in the leg, you don't want to keep on buying. You want to wait for the price to pull back. Where again into premium and discount. So if I apply the premium, the high to low, you can see how price pull back into the 50%. In other words, equilibrium of the dealing range. From there on, it's a done deal. You know your bias. You have price that is favorable, which is into EQ, is cheap to be bought. All you need then is for the price to show you some sort of market structure shift. And that's where the lower time frame comes in play. You can see how price kept breaking lows up until this week, so around Monday, actually happened on a Sunday. I had a position back from Saturday, been sideways for literally 2 days, went into profit for around 1.5 to 2,000 pips, 1.7 pips, 1.7 thousand pips before stopping me out and going literally over 7,500 pips worth of price movement. Everything is structured and the same concept applies over and over again. What do we have? We have another break in market structure. Where is price at? Into premium. I need a pullback into, again, where? Into equilibrium. So I am not looking for any sort of trade ideas on here until price provides me with a pullback back into the equilibrium of the dealing range onto the daily time frame. So we got the low, waiting for that high, and it's all relative to how price develops. But at the moment, I'm out of Bitcoin, no longs, no shorts. I'm just watching it out. But that's how essentially I was able to at least predict. I might post a picture of my MT5 where literally I got long and got stopped out literally by a couple of pips because I was literally had my position around here, got stopped out, and showed up in my direction. It kind of sucks. That's why I started my Instagram, to kind of document my journey along the way. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you gathered something. Watch it again and again. It's basically basic market structure, premium and discount, and that's pretty much it really. And I'll see you in the next one.